what makes your story spicy and what makes it improved? Well, that's all down to two things: tropes and universal fantasies. Now you're like, whoa, what are tropes? Well, we're going to use the tropes that's defined by Jennifer Hewitt in this book right here, The Trope, the Thesaurus. That's always hard work for me, the thesaurus. And basically, let's define really what a trope is. So a trope is a convention or device that establishes a predictable representation of a character, setting, scenario in a creative work. So things that we already know. Think about soap operas. After a while, they get very predictable. You know what's going to happen. You know about the secret baby. You know about the head doctor. You date a younger nurse. All these are kind of common tropes and common conventions that are used in the story to hide in conflict throughout the story. Now, what you don't want is for your writing to seem like a soap opera, where it's highly predictable, where readers can go and come back and still be semi-right about what's happening in the story. Usually I get that when I'm watching movies, and then I don't want to watch the movie because I already know the ending. And let's not do that. However, a lot of tropes we already know, and some are fan favorites, my favorites exactly. Enemies to lovers, that is my favorite one. And I will argue Beauty and the Beast is enemies to lovers because they start off on a very rocky relationship and they end up being lovers at the end. We have love triangles. That's with the Phantom of the Opera, where you have the Phantom, Eric, you have Christine, and you have Raoul, and all trying to figure out who Christine will love in the end. You have Hunger Games, which has an element of love triangle in its tropes. You have Peeta, Katniss, and Gale. Who will have Katniss' love? Either Peeta or Gale. Who? And you really want to know by the end, who does Katniss fall in love with or give her heart away to? Amongst all the crazy capital stuff. Then you have the oldie but goodie classic of Wuthering Heights, which also has revenge as a trope in there as well. Then you have orphan, which a lot of times the most famous one is Harry Potter. That's the famous orphan trope in that, among with others, but that's the most prominent one. We have the arranged marriage, which can go good or bad. The secret baby is a trope where somehow, somewhere, a baby arrives by some contrite backstory and you want to know where does this happen and how did this happen. Twin stories, think about Parent Trap and the twins getting the parents back together. That's a common trope and convention where you know the twins are going to use their twin powers to recreate some type of connection and reunion amongst themselves. Usually their parents or they're divorced or they've been separated and they're trying to get back together. That's kind of the common conception when it comes to twin stories that most people know and they're expecting it, so they're not expecting your unique spin. So that's how you can use that trope. Then you have politics, which if you think of any type of White House movie, the biggest trope is screaming at you of politics. Think of the movie White House Down, London Has Fallen, and Netflix's The Night Agent, where all those, the biggest trope in that one within other things is the use of politics. Then you have a fish out of water, just means someone is landing in some place they don't know what to do. And this could be Nightmare Before Christmas because Jack Skellington goes from Halloween Town to Christmas Town and he doesn't know how to receive and experience this whole nother environment. Then you have Mission Impossible. Usually our main agent is thrown in some type of crazy situation where you have to figure out and navigate how to do the mission. Then you have School of Rock, where the great Jack Black, he is thrown into no longer being a rocker, but being a school teacher at a private school. And he has a hard time with the students before they find their groove together. So the biggest thing with that, these tropes are common ideas. When I say these things and I explain some of the movies, you get an idea about what you expect to happen in the end. And that's what tropes are for. But you don't want it so predictable where your trope is like a soap opera to your readers and they're like, I know what's going to happen. You really want to keep them on the edge by having something that's the same but different because you're writing it.